got some amazing issues tonight. Welcome. It is June the 3rd, 8:10. I'm a little bit late, like it really matters. And I'm happy to be here. My name is John Pizza. Welcome to Cool Crap We Loved. And we should have renamed the show because a lot of people say, I don't want to go to a show called Cool Crap. However, I should have renamed it. By the way, right now you could be watching MTV, who has Snooki on at Woodlock Pines, but instead you're here watching Cool Crap You Love, which we appreciate and thank you for coming out. Tonight we have a special guest, Chris Caffery, who's from a great, wonderful band. I think you all know his music, I am sure, who's raised here in Mahwah, New Jersey. And he'll be coming up in just a few minutes. But before we even get into that, we have to bring on the co-host of the day, who, by the way, had major issues with his Wi-Fi. It was going up and going down, kind of like a sex life. And he's here today. Welcome, Walt, Tommy Papaleo. It looks like it's going to work. Good.
I was all messed up today. Fine, it was me this time. It's usually you.
I know. It's not. It's me. I'm always worried about my lighting and my makeup and my nails and my hair.
And look at the finished product.
Touche.
Look at that. That worked out pretty well for all of us.
Touche on that, you girl. But yeah, but nobody knows that just before we went to start this, you were like really blurry and your words weren't coming out, and it was almost like you were drinking or something. And you rebooted 100 times, it wouldn't work. And then just as soon as Chris comes in, and it's just about the show start, boom, you're perfect.
I think it happened because he came in. I think a third person actually cleared me up.
I don't think so, because I just, when you just came on, I just got this tweet from on my phone. I don't know if you tweet, a notification rather, and it says severe thunderstorms warning issues for Burlington, Ocean County, down here in South Jersey. It was getting
That's you.
Yeah, but it's coming. You know, it moves fast.
Dude, I'm in Orange County, New York.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Orange County. I'm not even close to you.
Isn't it? Does Trump live in Orange County? So
no.
I
don't think he does. Probably lives closer to you than he does to me.
Yeah, he's off of 287 at that country club. That's what I understand. I don't know. But anyway, this is really, we had a week off, and we have one comment already. Thanks, cool Dan Nav. Dan Nav's our biggest fan. Matter of fact, if your internet went bad, I could have had Dan come in and just log it.
Let me tell you something about Dan Nav. So me and Dan Nav are on a Mets page together, right? So we follow the Mets, and these goobers on this page. The other day, this is going to make no sense to you because you don't have a sports bone in your body, but Jacob deGrom I felt he was going to pitch a no-hitter against the team, right? That's a, no-hit start a game. So I put it up on the page and I said, hey, Jacob deGrom is going to pitch, and I feel he's going to pitch a no-no, which is short for no-hitter. And you heard it here first, right? So he didn't pitch the no-hitter. So the next day I went up and I said, hey, Marcus Stroman is going to pitch a no-no. You heard it here first. Now everybody's getting all, they're like, you said that last night and blah, 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 blah. And they were having heart attacks. So I was laughing about it. So the next day I put on, and obviously Stroman didn't do it. So the next day I put up David Peterson's going to pitch a no-no tonight. And you heard it here first. Now everybody's getting, oh man, every comments are coming in. Nav is laughing about it. We're having a ball with it. So today I put it up that Taijuan Walker was going to pitch a no-no. They took me off the page.
Really?
Any comment? Yes, because people were actually attacking me on this page. You're jinxing them, and you're doing this. And so I get thrown off the page. Dan Nav puts up that Taijuan Walker is going to pitch a no-no tonight. You heard it here first. Now they're going after him.
See, now all you sports guys, you're all passionate about this stuff. That's
my God.
Yeah, it's politics, religion, and then sports. Those three things. Everyone's all like ready to go to war.
Oh man. So anyway,
I don't relate to what you're saying. I kind of grabbing little pieces here. I don't know a lot about sports.
Just, you relate to the gnawing that I was doing to these people on the Facebook.
Yeah, the gnawing. Yes, I relate to gnawing.
So anyway, pinball is the subject tonight. Pinball and those games we played as kids that just sucked quarters out of our pockets. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I really do. And I got to tell you, I went through tons of quarters. As a matter of fact, my friend owned by the way, this is another thing they don't have today. My friend owned a candy store
Yeah.
Candies. They don't have candy stores really much.
Yeah,
anymore.
they have novelties though, but they're not like Howie's in Jersey City used to be a candy store. You go in there with a dime and walk out with 2 bags of candy.
Yeah, well, what was a dime worth before the this invisible tax of our spending in America right now? The invisible tax, where gas is $3 and it costs you an extra 50,000 to build a house because of wood. But
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, things are really, there's an invisible tax being put on us right now. But I do remember going to a candy store when I was a kid. I was brought up in Brooklyn, New York, and in Brooklyn they had them all over the place. And
sure.
I guess they were kind of like 5 and dimes, but they weren't as involved.
No, they weren't candy stores, no.
No, but you go in and you get bazooka bubble gum, like, for, I don't know, 2 cents, you get 5 pieces or whatever it was. And you could go to the counter and they had the really tall glasses.
Yeah.
And you'd say, I want a vanilla egg cream.
Yeah.
Right? And they would pull the handle down and out fuzz with the seltzer, and they get the long,
long spoon. That big long spoon.
Yeah, yeah. And you sit there, and for a quarter you drink this big vanilla, milky, shaky kind of thing, or the ice cream.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point was, in the back of those stores, there was always 1 or 2 of arcade games, and the pinballs were the first very early ones, and then later on became more arcade, like digital things,
Pac-Man and stuff like that. But
yeah.
And do you remember? I just getting back to those candy stores. I loved them because today you couldn't do that, because if you remember, there was a glass counter, and you used to look into the glass counter and say, "Okay, I'll have 2 of those, and give me like 1 of those." But they were all open candy.
And they had a little bag, and they had a bag.
Yeah, it was open licorice. It was like he was taking his hands and picking up licorice and putting it in a bag for you. And now,
and it was those little paper bags, the little 5 cent paper bags.
Little bags.
Yeah, you get the Swedish fish and this, the gum, that, the jawbreaker, or whatever. That was before everything was packaged. That was way before COVID.
That guy, it's the guy's like, let me have 1 of those chocolate things. He's like, oh, 1 of these? Yeah, okay, great. You want this? Yeah, put it in my bag.
Yeah, you're right.
Right, and spitting all over it, and now we got to wear a mask to go to the shop. Right
now, I don't know if I mentioned this to you, but and we could sit here like 2 old people talking about the past.
How it started.
We're old farts. Old farts. But I do remember my friend owned a candy store. His parents owned a candy store. So he would say, come here, here's what you do. When you go to put the dime or the quarter or nickel, whatever it was in there, take this red marker and make the coin red. And I was like, why do you do that? He goes, trust me, it works great. And he makes it red. So he puts all the coins in. And then the guy comes in, the fat guy with the T-shirt with the cigar comes in and empties out the coins. Yeah, all the red coins went back to him.
Want to know why?
Free play.
Yeah, but the reason for that was because if you lost your quarter in the machine, the establishment had to give you a quarter to play, so they marked it red, so the old guy with the cigar knew to give it back to the owner because somebody lost a quarter and they replaced it. That's what that was.
That was. And then we also did the other thing with the piece of cat gut, where you take the quarter, let it drop in, click, and then you pull it back out and click. Remember that one?
We used to do a fishing line, drill a hole through it, fishing line, pull it back. And then they got wise to that, and they started getting it once it got past a certain point. You couldn't pull it out.
Yeah, I know. So I wasn't the biggest pinball fan. I really liked more of the digital games that came on later, like Donkey Kong and all that kind of stuff, and Mario Brothers. But
pinball was the way to go, man. Christmas time, my mother used to give us 2 rolls of quarters in our stockings just to go play video game. Yeah.
Really? Things were tough. Roll of quarters for Christmas.
And listen, that was $20. $20 is $20.
And now mom gets you a lottery ticket.
Yeah, that's what she does, right?
That's interesting. No, that's interesting. That's
now everybody in the family's in a grab bag. You get 1 gift.
That is super interesting. Well, I have to run real quick, go through his comments here. I guess you aren't a athletic supporter. All right. Hey guys. Hello, Rory. Corner store with penny candy and games. Yeah, that's where it was. Where's JJ Walker? By the way, I didn't tell you this, but my best friend, my friend in Vegas, who's an impersonator, has lunch with him every day.
You told me this.
Yeah. Well, guess what? He sent me an email the other day and said, hey, JJ and I were doing something. He's selling a house. I don't know. He sent me an email about something. He's hanging out with JJ, and then he sent me an email. And I said, hey, tell JJ, once again, will you please, what are we waiting for? Come on the show. I said, you sitting with him now? I said, what do I got to do here? This is ridiculous. So he emails me back 2 minutes later. He said, absolutely not. I said, you know something? Here's the links to all these shows. Every show we're going to talk about how bad JJ is, the whole show. I'm going to say JJ Walker. JJ Walker.
Horrible.
We don't need that guy.
You know what? We don't need him.
He ain't coming on. He doesn't want to do. He just
We're dynamite without him.
Yeah, what a bad pun that is. I had the same problem last day. I went past a certain point and couldn't pull it out. Oh.
So anyway, playing video games. I'm going to get right into this because we do have Chris waiting. But the video games, the pinball machines, they were us. And I heard you guys before talking about Silver Ball. I grew up in Jersey City in North Bergen. They had a place called Silver Ball, and we used to go there and we used to play. And they had pinball machines, they had video machines. Down in Asbury Park by you, they have a Silver Ball museum, which they have all pinball. It's like $10 to get in for an hour, and you play them. It's, you don't have to put quarters in, and they have all the video games. They have all the pinball machines.
That's
Everyone
correct.
I grew up with, and we have pictures of them: the Kiss machine, the Evil Kid, and the Evil machine, all of them. And I got to tell you something, man. There was nothing better than that sound that you pop the game. And even if you matched. Even if you matched, like your two last numbers matched the match number, you got a free game out of it. But there was nothing like that sound.
I do remember that pop, and it's funny you mentioned that. Iron Man has a Silver Ball too. I didn't know that. There was I used to love when the ball would hit the glass. I used to love that because it never would break, but it always would hit really hard. It made a great sound. Speaking of which, it's funny you mention that because this place here in New Jersey is also, there's one in Florida as well. There's two of them. It's Silver Ball Retro Arcade. And I was just thinking we should have streamed live to their website today. That would have been perfect.
I will. I'll look it up. But there's a lot of pinball. Like I used to belong to a B&I group, and there's a guy in there who's like a pinball. He goes all over to play pinball, like in tournaments.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I would do it.
That's another thing. When you start thinking about pinball, I remember when as a kid in the 70s or late 60s, I remember when I used to go into the stores, there was some of the stores didn't have the most modern pinball machine. They had the old ones
with the rolling numbers.
Yeah, and it was like analog, and also it was only like the flippers were like cheap, and I remember like they used to have like a baseball one. It was like 2 bats, and it was just a couple little things. It was really nothing to it. Yeah. It was a cheap machine. It was like the very early ones.
Nothing like a dead flipper, like you're playing and like one of the flippers is dead. You're hitting it. It's not even hitting the ball. I'm like, I'm not playing this no more.
And one of the things I want to ask Chris about is whether he's
a big guy,
the Maine pinball. I want to know if Chris is familiar with Maine pinball. He's got to be if he's a big pinball fan.
He's a legend. Believe it or not, I don't know if he knows this, but he's a legend in like the pinball community.
Oh, really?
He is. He is. Because I got to tell you, and I'll tell you the story. I don't know how much he was, but whatever. We were out one night at a restaurant, and Chris was there at the bar, and we went over and had a drink with Chris at the bar. And it was like a Wednesday night or something, and we were like, "Hey, we're gonna go a little bit closer to home." He goes, "Hey, why don't you come over to my house, and we'll go and we'll party in the basement, have a few drinks, and play some pinball." And I was like, all right, he's got a pinball machine. That's cool, man. So we're going over there, and it was literally like an arcade. I mean, his basement is a cave of pinball machines that it's so cool, and he's got like all like Kiss dolls up on the wall, like you buy those dolls.
Yeah,
in the packaging, and he's got them all stapled to the wall, and he's got his sound studio there, and it was just amazing. And listen, I got a little drunk that night, and I could not. I had to go warm up the car. I couldn't even find my way out of the garage.
And then you woke up, and boy, did my rear hurt. So,
yes. But anyway, bring up some pinball machines.
Yeah, I'm going to bring up some pinball machines. I just want to say something interesting here. My friend Guru Ted, my friend Guru Ted.
Yeah.
He mentioned something to me that I was totally unaware of. And there's just 2 facts I wanted to bring up. One, when was pinball invented? Do you know?
Like 1600s.
All right. The origins of pinball began with a lawn game of Europe where balls were rolled onto holes in the ground. And the parlor version of these games were called bagatelle tables. Bagatelle? I think that's the way it's said. And to play these tabletop games, there was a stick and a plunger would propel a ball bearing up an incline. And it's these pins that gave it the name pinball, its name. That's one interesting fact. The second fact here.
I probably could have Googled that.
Yeah, you could. But I didn't know this. My friend was telling me today. And the second thing is Ballyhoo was a countertop mechanical game with optional legs released in 1931. And Ballyhoo was the first coin-operated pinball game. It was invented by the founder of Bally Corp, Raymond Maloney, from 1900 to 1958 he lived. And the term
who
pinball...
H-O?
Say again?
When you say who, is that H-O?
It's H-O-O.
Okay. I remember
Bally
being on a lot of the machines. As a matter of fact, you'll bring them up, and the Bally's on a lot of them, and I didn't even know if there's a who after it.
Yeah, there was H-O-O. But here's the craziest thing. Pinball was banned at the beginning in the early 1940s until 1976 in New York City. Did you know this? No. New York Mayor Fiorello LaGuardia, who I remember his name because they opened up LaGuardia Airport after him, right? Yeah. Mayor Fiorello LaGuardia was responsible for the ban. He believed it robbed school children of their hard-earned nickels and dimes, and LaGuardia spearheaded major raids throughout the city, collecting thousands of machines. From the hell out of here. 1940 to 1976. Isn't that like Soviet Union stuff? That's what Mayor Fiorello did. We're going to take all the pinball machines. And I have a picture that I do want to show you, which I will, of one of the first. It looks like a pool table with the sticks where you had to push the thing up. It's really cool. I'm not going to LaGuardia Airport anymore. Yeah, now I'm banning that and Coca-Cola. Okay. Yeah, ban that, Coca-Cola, everything, Nike. There's a lot more fun facts, but I don't want to waste any more time because I really want to get Chris in here as soon as possible. So bring up some games. We'll go through a couple of them that we show pictures of, like cool games, and then we'll bring Chris in and we'll show a couple during Chris's time too. Yeah, that'd be great. First here is Walt. Church Holy Communion Party. That was a wedding. I was in a wedding. That's when you were marrying that young little girl and you went to an island. I broke her arm. And there's me when I was a baby. All right, so here's one that you didn't see. Evil. That Knievel. Is what is that? Evil Knievel. Oh, didn't I give you that one? Oh, that was my favorite pinball machine of all time. I pulled up several. You gave me several. And this is the first one that I came up with too. And I thought I remember that. That was great. Dude, when that first came out, there was a place called Billiard Time down in Jersey City that you couldn't get on that machine. Like literally, somebody would play that from the minute it opened, 10 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, till like 10 o'clock when they closed at night. One person. And where are those kids today? Because there was an unwritten rule: if you were playing and you still wanted to put another quarter in, your quarter on top. Oh, yeah, you put a quarter on top, but then nobody ever cared because you didn't get to use your quarter until he was done playing. Right, so but that other kids putting quarters too on top of the glass, so there'd be like 3 people in line waiting for you to finish your game. Right? Yeah, that was it. Where did that stupid unspoken rule come from? That's what you do at a pool table too. If you're playing pool, you put quarters, on the pool table. Is it really? I don't know. I don't play pool. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Another one, real quick. Caveman. Never played it. I do remember playing that, and when you got done, you look like that. He still sends me messages, saying, like I'm going to kill you. That's an old. That's an old one. Beatniks. Well, I think I gave that one because it was the rolling numbers. I mean, the digital ones. Those were the good ones. When you played, it was a quarter. You got 5 balls, and the tilt wasn't that bad. The slope, so the ball didn't go in as much. But when you started getting those digital ones, now you were getting 3 balls for 50 cents, and the tilt was like like a San Francisco street. Yeah, very very good analogy. Grand Slam, I remember this one too. Grand Slam. Well, now how many games could you play on that? Oh, it was only one. Yeah, but it was like no, that was a baseball game. That wasn't a pinball. Well, you used the pinball as the baseball. Yeah, well, they this is just like in Atlantic City. I mean, I was at the Parks Casino before we had the thing, and I noticed they had a David Copperfield casino machine. I mean, they just slap anybody who's popular on top of everything, of course. Everything. Wizard of Oz, anything you want. Here's another one. Happy Birthday, is that? Yeah, Happy Birthday machine. That's one of the old time machines too. That's one of the old ones. I like those old machines. I really do. They have them. They have them right there in Silver Bowl. You should go. I'm going. Well, we were supposed to go to Chicago. Remember, we were talking about going to Chicago, flying in one morning and going. I would do it. Let's do it. That's the largest game place in the world. Let's do it. I'm doing it. I'm not wearing a mask though. But anyway, there is no mask now. The mandate is done. On a plane, I think you have to. Do you really? Why? Yeah. Why don't you wear a mask on a plane? I don't know. The same mask that you open it up and you rip it. It says does not prevent COVID-19. That mask. Yeah. Is that Fauci's new rule? All right. Yeah, I don't know. Look at this beauty. See, now that was in the back of a candy store. You were lucky. Maybe you got 2,
most places had 3, but if you got 4, that was pretty good.
Yeah, we used to have 1 or 2. I mean, because they weren't that big. But yeah, Star Trek was another one I used to like playing as well. Yeah. And then here's an arcade. I don't know where this came from, but there's my favorite game I used to play as a kid, Defender.
What's that? Defending the houses down the bottom, the fort things.
There's little people, and you got a little ship that goes back and forth, and you drop them off, and they get shot. The aliens come pick up the people, and you shoot them, and you pick the alien people down, you put them back down on the earth, and then you could go from screen to screen. And
dude, you're a nerd. You are a nerd.
It's my favorite game when I was a kid. There. That's Chris. Okay.
Yeah, that's Chris.
Nobody's playing Chris. Chris is playing a car. That's what he's playing.
Yeah.
All right, let's do one more. Here's another one. Hi, Dolly. I don't remember this one at all.
Dude, these are everything you sent. You didn't bring anything up that I sent you.
I give you. Well, I made some of my own. You want some of yours? Here we go. All right.
Yeah, but you don't even know those games. I brought up games that people knew.
Well, maybe I know them. You didn't know them.
You didn't know that one.
Different. I didn't know that one, but different stuff from Brooklyn. Hey.
Right, Superman. Everybody knew the Superman game.
Yes.
That was digital.
Yes.
That was a big game back then.
Yes, it was a big game. Yes. I'm going to get copyright infringement right there at dreamtime.com. Thank you. That was a smart one. That was a good idea.
Dude, air hockey. Who didn't play air hockey when they were younger? I said it was. It said stuff and stuff. It didn't say just stuff. Pinball.
Okay, here's my cotton candy I used to eat.
Oh, come on. You remember this?
Yeah, I loved it. To this day, I can still sit there and play that all day.
This was the illegal betting game that was in the back of like bodegas.
You know, so funny.
Everybody wanted to play. Hey, you got a Joker poker machine, and you go back there. So you put in $1. You got 4 credits. So those credits were $0.25 each.
Yep, and you could bet them all.
You got 40 credits. The guy had to give you $10 and then reset the machine.
These are still popular. I remember sitting. I used to work at the Riviera in Vegas all the time. I remember late night after a comedy show, coming down, sitting at the bar, and having like what do they call it? White Russians, a couple of White Russians, and just sit there and play this all night till 6 in the morning. Just played all night. You look
more like a melon ball type of guy.
Melon ball. I got a melon ball right here, and I'm sitting on 2.
No, but see, that's legal in Atlantic City, and it was legal in Vegas. In the back of a bodega, it was illegal.
Totally agree. One more, and let's bring a Kiss. That was great.
Chris has that machine. I believe
really?
Chris has that machine.
I got to ask Chris.
That's one of my favorites of all time too, because each of the bumpers has one of those characters on it.
Remember later on when they came out the double bumpers?
Yeah, dude, they got the hidden bumper up at the top. Not the bumper, the hidden flipper.
And do you know what else was cool too? Do you also? I also remember like when you started really getting good at it. In the beginning, you just were flapping around, but later when you started getting good, you were like waiting for the ball to come to the right spot, so it would just roll down the flipper a little bit, and then you hit it at the very end.
Hold the flipper and you hold it like this, and you pop it up there. But nothing better than it coming down and you go pop pop, and then it hit and it's back up again. So it was down, but it just nicked this flipper and it nicked this flipper. But your fastness of a pop pop.
Loved it.
Got it right back up again.
We're such goofballs. God, are we goofballs?
We are.
Anyway, let's bring on our special guest real quick.
All right, this guy's a big time guitar player, and he's a legend in the pinball community. I don't know if he knows that, but I do.
I know that he's a legend in the pinball community.
Everybody knows who Chris Caffery is in the pinball community.
He plays a mad guitar though, and I was watching some videos. He is a great entertainer and performer. I definitely do. Now, Chris, born September 9th, 1967, American musician, best known for his work as a member of Sabotage and the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and he's been recently pursuing his own career, releasing his own album since 2004.
Dude, he's got so much stuff. I mean, wait till he gets on here. You got to see the stuff. He's worse than Gene Simmons of Kiss.
Really? Yeah. Well, we should have. Hopefully, he has some pictures. We should have had some pictures. But anyway, let's bring on our good friend here, Chris Caffery from New
TSO.
Jersey. He's upstate New York right now, right?
Yeah, he's next town over.
Perfect.
Howdy.
Sorry to make you wait.
I knew I was that famous in pinball world. That you guys are telling me about that. I didn't know.
Chris, I'm telling you, I've talked to a guy named Howie Levine, who's a big pinball guy. You know Howie?
Oh yeah. Well, there's
Howie, and he told me, he goes, he's a legend.
Pinball club up here, and every Thursday, which right now there's an Orange County Pinball Club thing at the kid Brandon's house, and I couldn't go because I'm here with you guys. So
Aw.
right now I'm missing the legendary Chris Caffery pinball player is missing the Thursday night pinball competition to be on here talking about pinball. What I have there's 10
Look at this.
Can I have 10
Oh,
machines
God.
here? I don't think
that's
that's
just basement.
cool.
I have 10. I have 10 here now. I have 2 in my barn. I've got 13 altogether now, but I've got 10 down here, and I do have that Kiss one. So, but yeah, I never knew I was that legendary, but I did have my first pinball playing card come out this year, which I thought was pretty interesting. I made it onto a pinball playing card, which was
you got to have tons of parties where people come and say, "Hey, let's just come to my base and we'll hang out, we'll do some drinks, and we'll just play pinball all night." I mean, I could just see that happen. Music, pinball.
Yeah, I actually used to do a lot more of that, but it's been a little bit over almost 3 years since I stopped drinking. So it was like, you know, what the funny thing is when you drink, you don't care who comes over your house and drinks. When you stop drinking, you don't want anybody over your house anymore. So it's like, I don't want you here drinking.
That's how I got there. I got there from.
Well, yeah, I know. That was a lot of fun. It was.
Well, marijuana is legal now, so you could instead you could do other things. You could do it. So let me ask you a question. I wanted to ask you this because Maine Pinball. I was told about Maine Pinball, but basically it's like an LCD screen. It could be 50 inches or whatever, and it actually fits right inside the compartment of a pinball machine. And you lay it in glass, and it's digital, and you can play any game, any pinball game you want.
I've been watching that, and I think it's interesting to me, but I'm not going to move on that. I think until the technology gets a little bit better, because I'd like to actually, see them do a little bit more of the motion stuff and things there. It's cool. I think it's neat. I mean, you can get all the games in there, and they are fun to play. I mean, if you just want to shoot through a bunch of different games, because I know you can play a lot of different pinball games on your phones, and that's always fun to do. But I mean, those things, they are getting better all the time. But there's just so many games out there, and they keep making new ones. I mean, every couple months, Stern or Jersey Jack or somebody's putting out a new machine, and the new technology is so crazy. So I'm waiting right now. I want to get another game, but I have to dump something for space in this room right now to fit it, and I'm trying to decide which one I want to go. I mean, my last machine was the Munsters one, and I have the Mary Shelley Frankenstein. So since I have 2 that have Frankenstein on it in some form, I'm thinking about maybe letting the Frankenstein go, because there's some really cool ones coming out now, and there's some ones that are supposed to be happening in the future with the music.
Do you mind if you show us that room again? Because I had you in a little window here. Do you mind if we show? I'll give you a full window there. There you go.
That's good. Yeah. Well, okay. So I have.
Look at that place.
It's like an arcade.
And he does. He's probably got one switch that turns them all on at once. It's amazing.
I gotta go turn them on. So
it looks like the kind of thing you could walk down the aisle and maybe get mugged in the corner somewhere. Somebody.
I'm not kidding. That night,
actually, I was planning on putting a little stage down there at some point, putting some tables and having it to where I could do some live stuff, but the pinball totally overtook the room. I only was wanting to have like maybe 3 or 4 pinball machines, but it's like a disease. Once you get them, you just can't stop getting more. It's like potato chips. So, and there's so many cool games, and they just, like I said, they just keep coming out and keep coming out. And the music games are great. I got a Maiden, and I have the Kiss, and there's a Zeppelin that just came out, and a new Guns N' Roses that Jersey Jack did, which is really cool. But some rumors that some other bands are going to be coming out with new stuff. It's just I kind of want to have the space ready, but I definitely messed up the opportunity to build a little stage here for right now. But
let me tell you,
how do you sell one of these things though? How do you like? You have to make space. You have to sell one out, right?
Exactly. You gotta sell one out, and that was the problem with last year. It was nobody really wanted to have anybody go near their houses, so I was in the middle of this and not go. All the pinball places were closed, and it's like, oh darn, I had to play the same 10 machines every day. It's not that that's a bad thing. And I have one of those arcade games in that room that's got about, I think, 70 or 80 of like Donkey Kong and Pac-Man and Galaga and all those things. So
I just bought one of those too myself from China.
I actually bought. It was weird. I bought that last in 2020. I think I bought that one in February, not having any idea that the world was going to shut down, but it just happened to be really funny that it showed up, and I was like, oh, that was good timing, because I bought that game, and then all of a sudden I was like, all right, now I got nothing but time to learn how to play these 80 games. So it was something that was kind of ironic at that point in time, because I just decided to buy one. It was on eBay, and it was a really good price. The game is, a decent size. It's not a full one. It's like a tabletop. It's like a half. It's like sliced, but it has all the games in there. They're really awesome versions of it.
Whenever I see somebody selling one on like Facebook Marketplace or something like that, I'll put his name, and just in case he's interested in it, it goes over to him. But let me tell you about Chris. Anybody comes up to him, he never not talks to them. He's not one of those guys that'll say, yeah, thanks, but leave me alone. He's a guy that will talk to you, and this is how I got to know that he's a pinball guy. We started talking about pinball. He's like, hey, I got pinball machines. Why don't you come over? I got some little candy, little girl. It was just
Well, there's a lesson here.
I never ever consider myself. I don't even know what it means to be a rock and roll star. People tell me that I am. I guess maybe in some circles I might be, but I mean, I just consider myself the same as anybody I see at any given time. So that will approaching me and me approaching them, because I don't see, me being any different than any other person. I have a different job. My job's a little bit cooler than some people's, and not as cool as others. So it's like, I'm very fortunate to do what I love for a living. Last year was a lot different. It was the first time I was home for Christmas in 20 years, because TSO.
TSO is always playing.
Yeah. So that was different, but we did a pay-per-view. So I got to go to Nashville for 10 days and do that. So I did get out of the house, which was necessary. And I drove because I for a couple of reasons. Not only that I really didn't want to get on the plane at the time, but I just wanted to have a lot of stuff with me, when I was going down for 10 days, and I didn't know. I mean, there was a possibility if we got there, we were planning on rehearsing and doing everything, but if somebody had tested positive, we were going to have to shut down everything until they were either replaced or able to come back in. So I knew I was going for 10 days, but it was like 10 days that could have been 20 days or 30 days. So I was like, I almost brought the little arcade game with the 400 games in it, but I showed up at the hotel in Nashville, and I followed. Al Petrelli drove down too, the other guitar player with me, and I think I got there for driving straight down to Nashville, and I probably had 7 trips up the stairs with the luggage cart of things that I had. And I'm just like, what was I thinking? But it was kind of fun. I had my own little house there, and nobody was really leaving. We weren't allowed to leave the rooms. We were in a little TSO bubble. So we were staying there, and we were getting tested every day. And it was kind of interesting. So we were in our bubble. So I had everything in my room, but it was, I think, more of a pain in the butt getting out of there. When we were finished and I had to leave, I'm like, can I have a couple more days? Because I don't want to get this stuff out of this room yet. But
John, listen to this great story. So I'm going up to there's a new casino up here, Resorts, right? So we the club card players, they did a concert for them. It was Cheap Trick, which I was awesome. I love Cheap Trick growing up. It's a great, 70s. So I'm going there. I get the front row, I'm right on the stage. We got there early, right? So I'm like, this is Cheap Trick. They're playing their songs, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, when are they going to play? They're playing I Want You to Want Me. And then all of a sudden, Surrender comes on, right? The song Surrender. The song Surrender by Cheap Trick? Mm-hmm. They're like, and we have a special guest going to play guitar with us, Chris Caffery from TSO. And he's out there and he's playing with Cheap Trick.
That's so cool.
We had Robin Zander TSO had a bunch of different special guest singers with the band that came on stage at times. We had Roger Daltrey, and we had Steven Tyler and Ian Hunter, and Robin was there, and Joan Jett and Paul Rogers, and the list goes on and on. Greg Lake, and I knew Robin from that, and I went there and saw him backstage, and I walked up with him when he was getting ready to go on stage, and he introduces me to Rick Nielsen, who I don't think I'd ever met before. And right before he's about to go on stage, he said, "So what are you going to play?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, you can't be here and not come on stage with us." And I'm like, "Oh, Jesus." And we had played Surrender with Robin on stage with TSO, but it was years ago. And it's not, I mean, it's not that it's a difficult song, but I didn't remember exactly how it went. So they gave me a guitar. Rick had me go over to his vault, and I grabbed a gold top Les Paul, and I went down to the dressing room, and I took out my cell phone and I put on Surrender and remembered how the song went. Wow. And gave myself a rehearsal and went back up and watched it and played the song with them. But that's just the way those guys are. I think they're playing up at the fairgrounds in September. So
yeah, yes, they are. Orange OME is putting it on up at the Speedway, the racetrack.
Yeah, so I can. Let me around, I can go there and screw that song up again. So
you know what I want to understand, as you're saying, because he's saying, you know, you're with Roger Daltrey and all these people. Now, to you, that you're a musician, that's very atypical for you to interact with these kind of people. I'm wondering how you view them, because in my mind, I'm like, whoa, that's so cool. Yeah. I deal with comedians every day. So somebody, if I say, you know, I was
Jimmy Walker.
I mean, it's always really cool when they were, you know, the bands that you saw all the time when you were a kid, and they walk into the sound check to rehearse with you guys. But the majority of those people they're just all really cool and normal and you know, they were all a little different. I liked Greg Lake a lot. He came back a few times, but he passed away. And he was, you know, he was really super cool. He was very, very, very friendly. Like, he would come and just hang out with us, and he didn't like go and have his own entourage in and out. He'd show up at the arena and he'd be around all day, and he was just a really.
Well, you're not starstruck, is what I'm saying. You don't look at these people.
Yeah, I mean, some of them. I mean, when you meet Steven Tyler, he's Steven Tyler, so of course you're a little giddy with the thing. And I told him, because it was funny that, you know, because we did the song with we did the Emerson, Lake and Palmer song, and we did the Yes songs, and I told him that when I met him, I said, well, Aerosmith, I was more of a rock fan when I was a kid than I was a progressive rock fan. I liked the progressive rock fans. I said, but I was a bigger Aerosmith fan than I was a Yes or an Emerson, Lake and Palmer fan. And Steven was like, good. So it was pretty funny, but he was awesome. It was just it's always pretty surreal when you do that stuff. But Paul O'Neill, our producer, he always made those great kind of things happen. And he had passed away in 2017. So it's, you know, it's been a lot different since then. We haven't really had a special guest on the stage since then, because I think the band and everybody, we were just getting ourselves through being able to get back out with TSO and do it without Paul around, because that was Paul's baby. So, you know, it was a lot for us, and it still is a lot for us to go out and do that. But we don't want to let his music and his legacy die. And there's so many TSO fans. I mean, that band just has such a great following, and every year it seems to grow. So we'll hope that everything is back to normal by November, December. I keep
absolutely. Today,
because everybody
has opened up 100%.
They ask me what's going on, and I always just tell them what I do is I usually find out what happens at the TSO site anyway. I said, so just keep looking in TSO's site, and if there's good news, it'll be there. If there's bad news, it'll be there. And I am not making any predictions, but I was pretty, you know, I was really solid on saying last year, as early as March, that I didn't think there was a way in hell we were going to tour. I was online early in 2020, and I saw some of the first news that came out of China, and I was on an airplane in February going to Florida to do some stuff with Jimmy Stern, and I was wearing a mask, and people were like, what do you got the mask on for? I says, you don't know? I said, no, what? I said, everybody's going to be wearing one of these soon. And they looked at me like I was weird. And I just had, I don't know if it's like, sometimes I see things that I shouldn't. I don't know if it's a lucky guess, but I told everybody, I said, there's no way we're touring in November, December. I just knew that the flu season was going to spread the thing to the point where we weren't going to be able to safely think about doing it. And I just have a really good feeling about this show. I think my positive thoughts are way more towards there being a yes. So
I wouldn't use the word positive though in 2021.
Yeah, exactly.
City Field's going to 90%.
I'm just gonna say that hopefully, you know, not that I didn't enjoy being home for Christmas. I'm hoping that this year I get to be back out doing that tour at Christmas time. So we'll know more as the year's going on, and I think we're moving in the right direction. So,
John, you want to hear another great story?
Absolutely. Let me ask you a quick question, Walt. Though,
go ahead.
You weren't listening to Emerson, Lake and Palmer as a kid, were you? You don't seem. I was a huge AM big time brain salad surgery and all that. I used to love that stuff. I used to love the keyboard.
My brother was a drummer, so he always was listening to the progressive stuff. He was really into Zappa, and he was really into things like Return to Forever, and he loved the LP and Carl Palmer and Terry Bozzio, and so I always heard that music, but I was the metalhead, so I was listening more to the Maiden, the Priest, the Van Halen, and the Sabbath, and the Kiss, and the Triumph, and the Saxon, and the, you know, that was kind of where I was at with
Kiss
that.
Was great, that Kiss was great, but
yeah,
Walt, you didn't listen to that.
It's not that I didn't listen to them, and I just was not as much of a prog. My prog was like Rush. Was the prog I was into was Rush. That was kind of like as far as I went to being my favorite bands. I mean, Fragile was a great Yes album, and I had those and listened to it, but I think I was more into 2112 than I was that.
What were you listening to, Walt?
I'm a Kiss guy, man. I'm a Kiss. As a matter of fact, I looked the other day. $119. I can get a leather bomber jacket that says "Kiss Army" on the back with a middle finger, right in the middle of it. I'm ready.
I thought. For some reason, I'm
looking
at you. I'm thinking you're going to be singing to like "How Deep Is My Love."
Geez, who doesn't like this?
I got the Ace Frehley Gibson Les Paul here.
Do you really?
You saw that when you were in.
Yeah, I wasn't there. Like you saw it.
Let me grab it.
I'm going to tell you a great story while Chris is going to get that guitar.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm friendly with Chris on Facebook, and a couple of things we go back and forth about stuff. And one of my friends. That's great.
Oh.
Look at that.
Awesome. Really awesome. Beautiful.
The Ace. And he even signed to me because I played a TV show with Ace.
I love that guy. I used to watch that guy play when I was a kid, and I was thinking I would love to be that guy. I remember he was always bent over and kind of like, you know, doing his thing. He was really
Ace is making his money right now because the New York commercials about the vaccine and everything are the New York Groove is the song that they use.
Right.
Back in the New York Groove.
I've known Ace since I was like, God, I want to say probably 16 or 17. My mom was an oral surgeon's assistant in Suffern or Rockland County. She worked with an office down there, and Ace came in to get his teeth done. And my mom recognized him because he had the Ace ring on his hand, and she told him that I was a big Kiss fan, and he gave her my phone number, and I went to hang out at SIR when he was rehearsing for the first Frehley's Comet tour. So I got to meet Ace then, and then I did this TV show with him, this metal head-to-head thing, and that's on you can find that on YouTube, but it was pretty cool. I've known him for a long time.
He was over at Sugarloaf probably about 4 years ago. Did you go see him at Sugarloaf when he was there?
I wasn't home when he was here. I forget where I was, but I wasn't around.
Yeah, I went to it. It was a great show.
I don't know. Does he live in New Jersey?
The last I saw him, unfortunately, was at one of our mutual friends' dad's funeral. He was buried in the same veteran cemetery that my dad's in, and Ace was friends with this guy, and he was up there. But that was the last time I saw Ace. That was, I think, at the end of 2019, somewhere around there. But
we should get him on here one of these days. What was that you're going to say, Walt? You said
so this is a great story. It's going to probably embarrass Chris, but I had a friend of mine knew that I talked to Chris. So she said, hey, she sent to me, she says, hey, my husband is not doing well with, he's got cancer and he's going through chemo treatments. He loves Chris Caffery and TSO. Do you think you can get him to sign something for me? I'll give it to you and blah, blah, blah. So I send a message to Chris and say, hey, can you sign something for him? But can we go over there? Like they think that I'm gonna go get the guitar or the whatever and bring it to you, get it signed and bring it back. And I wanted to surprise him with Chris actually coming to the house and
Wow.
signing it. And he was right on board with it. So when we went to go get, I said, I'm going to come pick up the guitar. And she says, okay, great. I'm coming over. And when we went over there, Chris came in and she almost hit the floor and Bill almost hit the floor.
That is so nice.
And they talk. You guys got to talk for an hour.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, they're very, very nice. I still talk to them. They
And
they
did he beat it?
They during the whole pandemic thing, because I keep an eye on my mom, so I was being really careful, with that as far as me getting exposed to that virus more for that reason than anything.
Sure.
And
That's kudos, man. That's really nice.
They would run to when she was going to the store, she would drop some things at my house and on my porch, and it was funny. I think I went from it was March until September before I even went to the grocery store. So I just had everything I needed here. This basement's like a freaking bomb shelter. I'm like, I had fun with it though. I was looking online and I found like a milkman, and I had this milk van show up and they were bringing me like chocolate milk and eggs and all these things. And I had like so much stuff here. People were like, you're not getting to the store? How are you eating? I'm like, if you had any idea how much freaking food I have in this house right now, you would be losing your mind. It's like I had more stuff during that than ever. It was just because you were sitting here and you're like, oh, what am I gonna do? So I'm gonna cook. And then I put a 9-hole golf course in my backyard during that pandemic. So I have it's like a par 2, par 3 little like giant mini golf course in my backyard that I put up there. And I put a beach down by the river, and then I have my little arcade and my bar. People are like, do you miss going anywhere? I'm like, well, I don't really need to go anywhere. The only thing that's weird about it was like Rock Ridge and Blazing Saddles where they built the town and there was no people. I had everything here, but I was the only one here, me and my German Shepherd. It was just kind of funny, but I was all right. I've been on the road for 35 years, and to be honest with you, I didn't mind a little bit of time off. I started doing a lot of sea glass art, which
what is sea glass art?
Well, about 4 years ago I started making some stuff. I have this little elephant, this guy Wilbur.
And he sells these, by the way. This is the Gene Simmons thing.
He's got his own merch stores and merchandise. He's got like 500 merch items, and we give money to children's cancer things. And I was selling like little bead necklaces that had pieces of sea glass in it because long story short, I got into looking for sea glass, and then I just started 1 year before TSO tour making some Christmas ornaments. And now last year I think I sold 300 pieces of glass.
Wow.
All kinds of I make all kinds of art. I'll show this is actually a Christmas.
He's not done. He
also
also
a house done with sea glass. It's a Christmas house made with sea glass.
Oh, that's what you mean. Okay.
So, but that's all constructed out of actual.
That is so cool.
I glorify garbage, is what I do.
Yeah, but it's so really cool. It's really cool. I gotta say too, the fact that you actually, you asked him can you autograph something? He went to the guy's house and hung out with him. That is so really kind. That's props, man. That's really cool. As a matter of fact, Walt asked me to go to somebody's house, not to go to a house because they were afraid they would get cancer. So that's really nice. Honestly, that's
Chris,
really nice. Really
Chris,
nice.
what else do you
That's
sell?
the ultimate cancel culture.
Chris, what else you sell?
His visit was canceled. You were canceled.
Chris also sells his own line of hot sauce too.
Yeah, well, I'm a partner in a hot sauce company called High River Sauces, and we actually had one of my sauces called Tears of the Sun, and there was a private reserve of that, which is actually made from a hotter pepper, so it was a hotter version, and that was on that Hot Ones show. I don't know if you guys have ever watched Hot Ones.
What's it called? What sauces?
High River Sauces.
Let me just look it up.
And it's there. And then Hot Ones is actually really, really popular. It's on YouTube, but it's a show this guy does, Sean, and he brings in really famous people, and they go through this line of 10 hot sauces, and they go to eat them all. We had like on the season that had my hot sauce, Paris Hilton was there and some other people. So it was really fun. But we've been doing it about 10 years, and I've got a few sauces in the line, and I'm really good friends with the guy Ed Curry, who that's the one in the middle is Tears of the Sun. That's my recipe. And Ed Curry, the guy who invented the Carolina Reaper, I make some recipes for him. And Steve Seabury, my partner with the High River, he started that company, and he's just a real go-getter, man. He has hot sauce conventions all over the whole country, in Portland and Chicago, and he's having one in the Carolinas this year. He's got one in Arizona and California, and we even do a taco convention in New Jersey that's in September. And the New York hot sauce expo is usually in April, and that's been moved until October, because we couldn't do one last year, but this year it's moved to October. So it's pretty cool. I'm always busy. That's the good thing. But yeah, like last year, I stayed home and just recorded some records and wrote some music and made a lot of art stuff. So it wasn't that bad for me. I really needed to get a little bit of time off the road. I mean, I had 35 years of touring. That's a long time. That's a very long time.
Chris, what's your favorite machine to play?
Probably the new Maiden. I think the new Iron Maiden game is probably my favorite one here, to be honest with you. That game is really fun. I mean, I love the Munsters game, and I have that one Star Wars Episode 1 that has a video game in the background of it. That one's fun. I mean, I have Big Buck Hunter, which is really cool.
Oh, Big Buck Hunter. I played. That's great.
That's a great game. I mean, they're all have their own personalities. You know, when I go to people's houses, there's there's a game called Whitewater that I like a lot. And the Metallica game is great. There's just certain games that you like more than others, and certain people like ones. There's ones that will hate a game that I love, and it's kind of like movies.
Now, what happens if it breaks? Who fixes those machines for you?
There's a lot of people around here to fix the games. There's a ton of people in Orange County that have the games, and there's at least 4 people I know that fix them. Some are better than others, but some of these guys do this for a living. You know, there's a guy, Eddie, that I know, and a guy named Rob, that these guys are able to take these things apart and put them back together, you know. And
there's also a question here in the chat. Where is the taco thing in New Jersey?
It's at the Sussex County Fairgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
And that's I forget the date.
It's over by Action Park, right? That's the old
it's out past that. It's past Action Park. You got to go a little. Action Park's over by Vernon. You got to go into Jersey a little bit more to get to the fairgrounds. They have a rib festival that's going on in June. That Rock and Ribs. I think like Marshall Tucker and Pat Travers and some other things are playing. And that happens every year. I think it's that same facility that does that.
What's the place in Middletown Middletown, New York that has the
Fantasy.
Rock Fantasy, right? Yeah. That's a great place.
Steve was actually one of the first people to have pinball machines around here, and he always had a ton at his house, and then he had a couple in the store, and he would have I think it was probably 40 of them at least at his house. And he would have parties over at his house. And then he started doing these competitions. And then he took the store front next to Rock Fantasy and started putting games in there, and then just expanded into that. And now he's moved to a different spot. And I think he altogether probably has like 80 games. He had some in different locations around the county, but some of those might have sold during the pandemic when those places were closed down. But he actually had a Ghostbusters. I wanted to get Ghostbusters from him before the pandemic, and he wouldn't sell it to me for the price that I wanted. And then when the pandemic happened, he sold it for cheaper than what I was going to get. He's son of a bitch. But
now, Walt, do you think Chris knows about that? We interviewed that guy who was from Chicago who told us he would get us into the largest pinball place in the world. Are you familiar, Chris, with this particular place in Chicago with all these games? That's one of the largest ones in the country.
Well, I know Stern is out of Chicago. Is that like a museum? I know there's a humongous museum in Vegas. There's a big place in Pittsburgh, but Stern Pinball itself is made in Chicago.
No, this is you know, I'm going to look it up. I forget the name of the place.
Yeah,
but
that right now you're reaching a spot I may not know of the pinball place that's out. I'm sure there is one. I mean, they're all over. Like you guys were talking before I went on about the place in Jersey. I mean, these pinball places are everywhere. You could show up. We rehearsed with TSO out in Omaha, and there's a candy store out there, a really cool one in Omaha. I forget the name of it right now, but they had an arcade, and they had a room of pinball machines that was just all the old ones with the spinning numbers. And it was probably, I'm trying to count in my head, it was probably at least 40 in that room. And they're not even known as a pinball museum or anything. They just had them in there. But the place in Jersey they have great machines down there.
That's the Silver Ball Museum down on Asbury Boardwalk.
Yep. And I played some stuff down at the Stone Pony. And when I stay overnight, I'd go and make sure I'd go into that place. And
right across the street from it, right?
Yep.
Yeah, right across the street.
This place is called the Galloping Ghost Arcade, and it boasts the largest pinball collection in the country. And I told Walt, a friend of ours invented, actually not a friend of ours, an acquaintance of ours. We had him on the show. He was the man who did the drawings and invented, what was it, Quark? Cubert game. So he's
excuse my ignorance on the Galloping Ghost, because I just I also had a bad brain injury in 2018, so maybe I forgot about.
Oh, you're married.
Or some of my friends used to say, "Are you married?" Well, John Oliva from Sabotage used to say, "Are you married or are you happy?"
Well, we're supposed to go. Walt and I told him, I said, we should take one day. Let's take a Wednesday afternoon or something. We just take an early flight in the morning, leave out of Newark or something and fly into Chicago. It's like an hour and 45-minute flight, 2 hours maybe. Yeah. Flying to Chicago, take a little Uber, zip over to this place and spend the whole day there playing games. And then that night we just come home.
That's all. I'll do it.
I would do it. Chris, you want to do it?
My German Shepherd's getting restless. Hold on. I have to give him something to shut him off.
Yeah. So how cool was that he went over and signed? So he sat down and
nice.
The guy plays guitar and Chris actually signed his guitar.
That is so nice.
Yeah. That was really a great story.
All right. I got rid of him temporarily, but he will be back. He does this when I do Steve from Rock Fantasy and some of the other people have the music talk things that go on, and my dog will let me be on this computer for about an hour before he's like, all right, that's enough time. And he'll start talking to me, and sometimes I get a whole little box of like the tiny little baby milk bones, and I'll just throw them back and forth so he runs and leaves me alone. Yeah, well, let's see how much time he gives us.
Chris, any other rock guys like musicians that play the video games, the pinball that you know of?
I know Slash is a huge pinball guy. I think he even got yelled at about his wife at one point. I think somebody was telling me because he had so many games. But I know Slash is a big pinball guy, and Rob Zombie's a big pinball guy. So he designed his own game that he had for them. But there's a lot of people. I mean, they all like to have a game, but there's definitely a few of them that have more than others. You'll see the Maiden guys. They all have the Maiden pinball in their house. It's not like they have a pinball museum or a lot of games, but everybody really seems to like to play the games. And the good thing when we go on the road now is a lot of those barcades are out there where you'll see multiple pinball machines in these bars, and that's something we never, we hadn't seen that in a long time. And when pinball used to be out, it was kind of rare. You would get the one game, all the arcade games, and there would be one pinball, and you never knew exactly which one it would be. But now you actually see the multiple pinball machines in these places, which is cool. And there's always a couple in the truck stops, and I'll stop in every once in a while and see if they trade one out, or which games they might have in some of the places around here.
So, John, when you go to the truck stops, you should go inside and see. I mean, after you've done what you're doing outside, but you go inside and you play a couple of pinball games.
A lot of those games are, sometimes you get to those places and those games are so beat up. You talk about the extra flippers. Some of those will never work. And some of those games would be the older ones that became worth a ton of money. Like some of these games, like Medieval Madness, and you would see people selling them for over 20 grand. And these were games that people were
Crazy.
getting for under $1,000 back in the day. I actually had a chance to get a Kiss pinball machine brand new in the box when I was younger, and I passed on it, and I should have. And I think it actually wound up getting bought by Sebastian Bach, and I think it wound up being destroyed when his house had the floods from Hurricane Irene. His lower area of his house was destroyed, and I think that particular Kiss pinball machine was the one he got. I have one, but it's not mint. I had a chance to get one in the box when I was younger, which would have been great, because a lot of those pinball machines back then, they were played so much, wherever they were. So
now you know why the pinball community worships him.
Really?
That's why.
Yeah.
Chris, what about these other things like this classic game Shuffleboard? I love Shuffleboard to this day.
Yeah, no, that was fun. Do you always with the little sawdust and the metal hockey puck that you could definitely destroy somebody with if you threw it at them? But
yeah, the cheese.
I like that. Some of the other ones that I really liked that were in the bars. They had the digital darts were always fun to play.
Yep. The digital darts. I had a machine.
Did you?
Yeah, I had one here.
And we Steve and the Rock Fantasy people, they play a lot of the bubble hockey games, the little fake hockey.
Oh, with the hockey guys. Yeah, it's just like the soccer one, but the hockey guys.
And there's so many different, those funny, when you used to roll the ball to play golf, and you had to roll it in the right direction to get the golf ball up. And
hey, John, bring that one back up again, that last picture you brought up.
The racing cars are always good. You know what I like too, which is fun, is some of the zombie killing video games.
Love those. I could play it all day long. I love the zombie.
Those ones, what's
I like the killing everything.
The one with the dead in the name. Those games I wanted one of them for my house, but they're so big. But those are fun. When you're able to put the money in to stay where you're at in the game. If your credits run out, and you're like, you have 60 seconds. You're trying to run to get the extra thing before you lose the last hour of your killing the zombies to the next guy. But
how many times have we all done that too? Like you go and you get $20 worth of quarters, you got them in all your pockets, and then you get to that great point in the game where it's like you have that 60 seconds. You're like, oh damn, I only got 50 seconds left. And you're like,
anybody got a quarter? Anybody got a quarter?
And those places like the Dave and Buster's and stuff like that, they don't have pinball.
No.
Even like we have the place in Chester called the Castle. That guy Brian,
the Castle. I perform comedy there.
He didn't put pinball in there, and we tried. Steve actually tried to get him to put some in. I guess he's a lot of the younger kids just don't really play pinball, and it's
right. They break the glass.
I think it's definitely cool for me because the ball is alive. I mean, you learn how to play all these games where you got to climb the wall and find this spot. You'll get the key to go to this room, but that's repetitive. Your brain remembers exactly how you accomplish this one thing. There's no two pinball games that are identical when you play. It's the same game. It's like sometimes you can play one game and do really good, and other times you play three balls and you like, I can't even believe I suck this bad. I mean, you can play pinball really, really bad. I mean, it's like it can happen. And some of these guys that play are so good because they know exactly how to juke the machines to get the ball to bounce so it doesn't go down the sides and this, that, and the other. I
was never that guy. I would see a guy put a quarter in there and play for 3 hours. I used to drive me nuts. I'd be like, how does this guy get so good? Drive me crazy.
They have these competitions here. They will take away the extra balls a lot of times just because, some guys will be on the game for a half an hour. It's just like, all right.
But what about that time when you're playing the game and no matter what you did, that ball just comes straight down between the middle and there's nothing you could do to make it.
You can't do anything about it. It happens, like I said. And they, what's the pinball people say? It's like that you only need one ball, because somebody can have one ball in their game and get more points than you'll have for 5, in just that one ball. And it's funny when that one ball happens, it's just that ball gets going in a certain way, and it's where it's bouncing is just in the right spots. And something happens to it where it's just not hitting it's kind of like that direct TV thing when you're watching the television.
Yeah.
Well,
Now,
when
Chris-
the pinball's going in the right way, it just seems to avoid where you would lose the ball for you. And then when you have those other games where you just hit it and it goes right down that spot in the middle every time, you're like, I can't believe that happened. But that's like I said, why it's different. I think it's alive. It's a game like pool where you're actually playing into the game, but you have a lot of action with it. It's fun, and like I said, all these games are different. Every one of them has its own personality, and they make them like that. I have a friend of mine that designs games for Stern, John Borg, and I have the Munsters game, the Frankenstein game, and the Big Buck game are his designs. So I'm trying to stay loyal to having another Borg machine if I was to get something when Frankenstein goes. I'm waiting to see what he has next. He just did the Mutant Ninja Turtles, and he did some other things, but he has something coming up at the end of the year that's he's telling me is his best game that he's ever made. They always pinball designers are like musicians. This is the best album we ever did. It's like, this is the best record I ever made. This is the best pinball machine I ever designed.
Everybody's gonna know what I'm talking about, and I'm sure, Chris, you do this because I do it when I play. When it hits a bumper, you push the machine. You always got to push the machine, and you got to tilt it a little bit, but without tilting it. You're hitting the tilt on it, but you're always hitting it just to get a little more bump on the bumpers. I can't be the only one that does it.
Some of these you can control how sensitive that tilt thing is, so you got to watch that because some of these games that's so sensitive. So you try to do it, and I mean, you could shut it off, but that kind of takes the fun out of the game if you shut the tilt off. I mean, that's part of the game.
Yeah, you can't just flip it around.
One or two of my games, the tilt actually does. I have now the dog has the lighted Nerf ball. He's got better toys than me, so I don't know if any of you guys ever had a German Shepherd.
Yeah,
I did.
They taste delicious.
Nobody understands what a German Shepherd is till they have one. I mean, my dog is basically I have six legs and a tail everywhere I go in my house and my yard. He's always there. So, but he's getting impatient. So I don't know how much time I have before.
That's all right. We're just about to roll this up. Let me ask you a question, though. Somebody put in the comments here already said, do you play games every day? Do you do this every day?
Play at least one. I'll rotate some of them. The Maiden game I like to play every day because I still haven't gotten as good of a score as I want in that. And when you do they have upgrades on it. It wipes out all your high scores. So I try to replace the scores. So yeah,
you got to take pictures of it.
Yeah, and the Munsters game has something that happens at midnight. You have to be playing the game at midnight and be in a ball, like the ball moving.
Get out of here.
It shuts down, and then Herman goes into a seance. And this midnight madness thing starts, and it goes into
I want to play that game now.
It goes into a 6-ball multi-ball, but it only happens at midnight, and you have to be playing the game and have an active ball for it to shut down and for that to happen.
Crazy! That's fantastic.
That's a fun one. So I would play.
How much is that machine to buy that one? Maybe I'll put that over here in this green screen room.
It all depends which version you get. They go anywhere from like $5,000 to $8,000 or $9,000, depending on how good of the. This is just a pro. This is the basic version of it, but I put a lot of the little extras in it, and it's actually autographed. The back glass is autographed by Eddie Munster. So Butch.
That's so cool.
Yeah, Butch Patrick came to Rock Fantasy to do an autograph signing when that Munsters game was released, and we all went bowling with them up at that Quinn's Pins place.
Yeah, that's a great place.
I was bowling with Butch, which was cool. He's a really good guy. He's actually a pretty good bowler. So. Hey,
somebody just before we go, somebody said, "What was your highest score on which game? Is it what are you like proud of? Like one of these games that you really kicked?"
Probably like I said, probably the Maiden game, that one Star Wars Episode 1 that has the video game built into the game where you go and you play, and then you actually have to shoot the pinballs at spaceships and stuff like that. I've got some pretty super crazy high scores in that game, but the one I bought this Frankenstein game, and the scores go super high, and I still have yet to get into the top 5, and that's having scores of
Dude, you're the only one playing it.
Yeah, but you don't understand. 1.9 billion is the score that's the 5th, and in order to get there, you really have to have. It's like you have to have one of the greatest games ever to get to that level.
No,
so it's like no matter how hard I try to play it, and it's only a 3-ball game, and it has no. You know how a lot of these games give you forgiveness at the beginning of a ball when it first starts. You get a little bit of time. This one's time is super fast, so you could lose the ball quickly. But I mean, you'll see the scores I've gotten would be considered super high scores by like an extra ball. I mean, it is at like 450 million. I'm at like over, billions, and it's just not enough to get where whoever is. This game has been around for almost 30 years, so it's just kind of, some people had played it when it was in public that had some super high scores, and the scores never reset on it.
That's why. Yeah. So here's a great question. Before we go, I got to know this. When you buy a pinball machine, are you buying it because of the bumpers and the flippers and the lights, or do you buy it because it says the Munsters on it, or do you buy it because it says Evel Knievel on it? I mean, do you buy it because of the name on the machine, or because of the actual game?
A little bit of both. I mean, I gotta be honest about. I definitely bought a Playboy machine because I liked
one of my favorites.
So it's like I wanted that game just because I thought it's fun. The Kiss machine. I was such a huge Kiss fan. And
me too, right?
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah. It's a lot of different reasons, but I definitely go and I play the games before I buy them, and I want to know that I like them. There will be ones there'll be games that I would buy that I might not be as big of a fan of something. I mean, there's music machines that have, bands that I would be a bigger fan of than, let's say, Jurassic Park, but I love the Jurassic Park, the new Stern game. I would buy that before I would buy other games, just because some games you really enjoy playing more.
And tell me the truth. One of the things that just hit me, I remember loving about pinballs, was when in between the flippers, you had a little round ball, a little round disc that would come up and protect you sometimes when you were playing.
Sometimes.
I used to love that. That was like that great little cheat. Like when that thing popped up, you were good. We're good for the next.
I don't think any of my games have that help. I don't think I have one of the games that have that
help. What came up with that was a brilliant idea. It's
there's a few of them that have. Actually, one of them has the little dot that's there. There's like a dot. It's not the one that stops it, but some of mine have it on the side, where it'll go down the side ones and it'll stop it.
But the biggest burn was the little puck would come up and you're sitting there playing. It's like, it's okay. It's okay. And then as soon as the ball's coming right down the middle, you're like, you're okay. And then it would just go down and the ball would drop. And you're like, damn, no.
Exactly.
You do the flipper and it goes behind the flipper.
There's still hundreds of games I've never played. I mean, there's so many different pinball games, and they're all different. Like I said, they're just amazing different games, and you could never own them all. I think that's why a lot of people like to trade out their collections to go for other games. But me personally, I think I'm good with what I have. I'd rather just go somewhere and play something I like a few times. And, and plus they're not the easiest thing to carry. You got to get it in and out of the basement, up the stairs.
Sure. Dude, if you want to go to Chicago, to the world's largest pinball place, me and him are in. We'll just fly out one morning, do it, and come back the same day. I'm willing to do it. I think
I'm willing.
I would try it. That would be fun, man.
So set up the date with Walt. I'll take a day off, and I will do that. And this could be a weekday. Who cares? We're going to Tuesday afternoon and come back by Tuesday night. Who cares? It costs $50 to fly.
Unfortunately, they canceled a lot of the easy flights out of the airport by us.
But Chicago's a hub, though.
Yeah, but not here.
Well, you drive down to Newark. Big deal.
Yeah, the Stewart one here, they took away. Atlanta's gone, and I think one of the other. I don't even know if they go through Detroit anymore. I think they're only doing Philly at the moment. So it's not fun. It's not fun going to Newark, though. It's fun going to the airport that's right here.
Yeah, of course.
20 minutes away. There's no
Come down to
line.
Newark. We all meet at Newark. We fly out like 10, 11. We could go at 12 o'clock noon, be there at 2 o'clock,
Yeah,
hang out all day and be home before midnight. Be great.
I mean, we could maybe hook it up to go see the Stern, because I always wanted to go to the factory where they're made, the Stern factory. We definitely.
Well, our mutual friend that we've made keeps telling us if we come down, he'll hook us up. He knows everybody because since he invented the Q-Bird, he knows all the people at the places. He just give me a call. I'll get you in. Give you a pass for the day.
Yeah, we could, like I said, and I know my friend John is one of the designers at Stern, so I've been meaning to get to the Stern factory for a long time.
I'm ready.
I'm
ready. Hook it up with Walt. I'll do it.
By the way, also he's good friends with Mark Scott, who we had on here and did an episode on candy with us. Mark.
Oh, there you go, Mark.
Mark is great, and
he was just
all four of us. We'll be four like geeks, 50-year-old geeks going.
I was kind of bummed. I was bummed out when Mark moved out of this area because I lived in the city and I moved up into Orange County again to kind of take care of my house and my mom up this way. And Mark had his restaurant. We used to have a cover band together. It was called Camo Toe. We had G.I. Toe. G.I. Toe was the guy that was on our shirts and ads. He was just little camouflage toe, and it was Camo Toe, and it was pretty funny. But yeah, he bailed out, and I missed having him around here because he was always a lot of fun to hang out with. Mark,
that was a great. The Copper Bottom was a great place to hang out with him.
Oh, absolutely. I slept on the floor there a lot.
So did he.
Yeah, he built the office upstairs and slept on his own little couch, and I was on the stage on the floor. That he built a stage in there, and he invented his own drink called the Great Scott, which was like some kind of bionic version of like the drink that has the grapefruit and vodka mixed in with one of the ones that has like cranberry and something, and it was called the Great Scott, and we would drink it by the pitcher. It was.
Chris, you're too much fun. You're a really good, easy, no lifting kind of guy. Really appreciate it.
My dog is.
I know we're gonna let you fly. Where do we catch you from? I think we should catch you right here. If people want to get in touch with you on Facebook.com/Chris Caffery Music, right?
That's it. That's the best place. I try to keep it on one. I mean, everybody goes. I actually, my Instagram got seriously hijacked by the Russians. All of a sudden, one day, somebody got into my Instagram and I couldn't get in. And I tried to put my email in, and like the email had been changed. And I searched what email was on it, and it was some Russian hijacked my Instagram. So,
well, for $4 million, I'm sure they'll give you back here.
Yeah, no, actually, all you had to do with Instagram, you had to contact them and tell them that you were hijacked, and then you had to take a picture with you. They sent you a number, and they said, draw this number on a piece of paper and take a picture with you holding that number, and then they closed the old site, and I didn't even put the new one on for years. So everybody was getting all their Instagram things, and I just didn't.
You're a prisoner. Yeah, hold this number up.
I had to turn it on. I had to turn it back on in November because TSO had me doing a live thing for the pay-per-view with the radio station that was doing it through some live link that happens on Instagram. So I went back on it in November. So I try to throw things there, but it's too many things. I mean, I think it was 96 or 97 when I did the first internet tour diary ever from a band. When we had like the first message boards that were bands being able to talk to
BBS
kids.
boards, yeah.
So I spent so much time online that when this pandemic happened and everybody was at home and started doing this kind of stuff, I was like, have at it. I had done so much. Everybody kind of became me because I was home for a lot of the year, and then TSO went out. So I was doing a lot of internet stuff all year long.
I ain't laughing at the door.
The pandemic happened. I watched everybody do all the things that I used to do, and I'm just like, God, that's annoying.
I'm hilarious. It's hilarious though. That dog in the background is kind of like calling Chris. Hey, Chris, I know you're on the air for a long time. Hey, Chris,
he's ready to go. I gotta.
You know, it's funny. Just before you leave,
he's had it with this.
When you have the dog is barking at the back door and your wife's barking at the front door, who do you let in? You always let in the dog because you let him in, he stops barking. You're a delight. Thank you, Chris, so much.
No, thank you, guys. Thank you. This was a lot of fun. And I'm gonna go take the dog out literally, and I'll see you soon.
You
Thanks,
got it, guys.
Chris.
Thank
I'm
you
here,
so
Walt.
much.
You know where to find me. I don't go many places. So
We can see Chris.
actually, tomorrow I think I'm going. Not that I'm going to be drinking any of it because I'm not drinking, like I said. But there's something in Florida tomorrow with a Jimmy Stirr's having a Jimmy Stir vodka taste at one of the bars in
Don't
downtown.
go.
Okay.
Don't go.
That's the only thing I know that I'm doing.
Who let the dogs out?
All right, I'm letting the dog out.
Who let the dogs
Peace out,
out?
Take care,
baby.
guys. Thanks a lot. It was so much fun.
Who let the dogs out?
I like that guy. He's a really
Yeah,
cool
Chris
guy.
is great.
Very nice guy. And I got to tell you, it's so funny the way his dog was like, he's
was like,
he's
dude.
going, Chris. Hey, Chris. You know, it's been an hour.
Dude, you said an 8. You said an hour. You said an hour.
And he was right. He was right.
Yeah. That's what the dog was like. Hey, whoa, whoa, it's an hour. Whoa, we're going outside.
Anyway, we'll be back next week without JJ Walker.
Yes, JJ. You know what? As a matter of fact, this is an official statement by one of the co-founders of Cool Crap, JJ Walker. You are banned from this show.
Out. He's out. Never
Done.
happened.
Done. You knew.
Hey, hook up a date with Chris. We'll all go to Chicago and go to that
Yeah,
game.
man, that's
Sounds
gonna
like
be
a
fun.
plan. All right, bro. I will talk to you later. It was too much fun.
Ciao, baby. Thanks for
We're over
tuning in.
by
Hit
22
that subscribe button.
Hit the like.
Hit the like button on YouTube. Hit it on BitChute. Hit it on Rumble. Hit it on everything.
Odyssey too. See you guys next week. Thanks a lot.
Ciao.